Let's get some analysis now with Edward Ahmed Mitchell. He's the National Deputy Executive Director of the Council on American Islamic Relations and joins us from Atlanta, Georgia. It's good to have you on the program. Firstly, what are your thoughts on the comments that we've heard this evening from the U.S. President regarding the situation in Gaza?
Look, over the past few weeks, President Biden has softened his rhetoric about what is happening in Gaza. He has expressed more sympathy for the Palestinian people. He has acknowledged the horrific crimes that are being committed there to some extent. He said that what Netanyahu is doing is over the top, but his rhetoric is falling far short of what it needs to be, and his actions are falling far short of what they need to be. We don't need slightly improved rhetoric. We need a complete change in policy. For months, we and other Americans have been telling the president what is obvious, that this is not a war, that Benjamin Netanyahu is perpetrating a genocide in Gaza, and that he is doing that with American taxpayer dollars. And unless President Biden wakes up and smells the coffee and sees what's happening and acknowledges it, that genocide will continue. And that's what we're seeing happen in Rafah right now. And so the president has to go further. He has to go beyond improved rhetoric. He has to change the actions of our government by demanding a ceasefire and not sending more military aid and money to the Netanyahu government.
Edward, how much focus do you think the American public still has on this? Those airstrikes in Rafah took place at a time when millions of Americans were watching the Super Bowl final. At this point, how much airtime is Gaza getting that it is still affecting Americans in any way?
Well, here in the United States, it's no secret that some of our media outlets are somewhat biased, to say the least, and do not give a thorough, regular, accurate picture of the horrors unfolding in Gaza. But we live in a time where social media exists, where people can learn about and see what's happening with their own eyes. And so, yes, the Israeli government launched a massive bombing campaign during the Super Bowl last night. What they didn't count on is that on Twitter, the phrase Super Bowl massacre would start to trend because people are not going to be tricked anymore. They are seeing what's happening in Gaza and they care. Over 70% of Americans support a ceasefire one way or another. And the vast majority of Democrats, even many Republicans, support a ceasefire. So President Biden is out of step with the American people by his refusal to call for a ceasefire and an immediate ceasefire. And the American people are not happy with what they're seeing. They do not want our tax dollars spent blowing up children in UN facilities. It's just unacceptable. It's wrong. And the American people do not support it.
So how do you think this is going to then affect the November elections? Because if this is what the Biden administration is doing, if you had a Republican administration, would they be doing anything different?
Well, as a civil rights organization, we don't tell people who to vote for, who to vote against. I want to say that up front. But we do track voter sentiment. We do talk to the community to see what they're planning to do. And I think that all bets are going to be off in November. Our polling 4 years ago showed that the overwhelming majority of American Muslims voted for President Biden. I have no idea what is going to happen in November. This obviously upset many American Muslims and Arab Americans. They are very frustrated by what they're seeing. They feel this does not represent, these policies do not represent them, do not represent justice. And so I do think that what is happening in Gaza will impact how people vote in the fall. What the result of that will be, there's no telling. But we do plan to conduct regular polling to find out what the American Muslim community plans to do, and we will encourage them to vote no matter who they're voting for.
Edward Ahmed Mitchell in Atlanta, Georgia. Good to get your take. Thank you so much.
Thank you.